Why? Hi, all. Wow, I'm here and I'm live. Are you someone who thinks that a healthy lifestyle is restrictive, that you need to eat clean, that you gotta like lock in and run 5 miles a day and, do all of this stuff to maintain a healthy weight or to lose weight? Are you someone who's tired of spinning your wheels when it comes to losing weight? You've lost some, you've gained some, you've lost some, you gained some, and now you're just at a loss at how this all works. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's not the case, that you have to go extreme, that you don't have to do a juice cleanse or a detox or clean eating. You also don't have to just eat whole foods or whole foods plant-based. That alone is not going to be enough to get sustainable, reliable, healthy weight loss. There's another way, and you can do it. And I'm here to talk about that. Hi, I'm Lindsay, and here at the Plant Plan, we eat well for our health, longevity, muscle gain, and fat loss. And today I'm live. It was kind of out of the blue, but here I am. And I'm also sat right in front of my AC, so I'm hoping that you can hear me. I have my mic right here. So I'm hoping that you can hear what I'm saying here. But I went live today because I want to talk about, I don't know, I see a lot of people online doing health restart, health challenges. They're getting their mind and body right, or they are intending to, and their method is juice cleanse, detox teas, sweating it out with like a waist trainer and all this sort of stuff, and like pretty extreme, kind of like mild starvation, running yourself y ragged, doing all sorts of stuff. So I wanted to talk about how to lose weight for real without going to extreme measures. The simple, proven, tried and true method that will give you sustainable fat loss. This is a method that you can repeat over and over when you need to. This is a method that is sustainable. By that, I mean it can become habit, it can become old hat and just how you live your life if you're doing it mindfully. Okay. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about is why cleanses, detoxes, and eating clean and all of that sort of stuff doesn't work. And then I'll go into what does work. Right. And I'm giving you my outline here. I'm looking here. If you see me looking down, it's because I have many points that I want to get through, or several points that I want to get through. And I want to make sure that I get to all of those points. So, what does work? So, it's a three-step process of getting started, getting a kickstart going on your health journey, right? Your body recomp, your health transformation. There's so many different names for this. It's fine. This is what we're doing. This is what we're talking about. Number one, you want to see where you're at. Number two, you want to decide a mild deficit. And number three, you want to increase your low intensity activity and you want to lift weights. Okay. So we're going to talk about all of those things and I'll go through them. Like I said, I have a checklist of items to review here. But if you're here now, right, if you're here now live, drop a comment in the chat. Let me know you're here. I'm hoping you can hear me. It says the microphone is quite low. Give me a can you hear me thing in the chat. Okay, well, I hope that's working out. If not, I'll just redo this again and we'll talk again soon. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is see where you're at, right? What does that mean? That means finding what your maintenance is. And you can do that by looking kind of historically at what you've been doing for the past couple of weeks, right? Something you can do is just observe your current level of activity. This can be as simple as looking on your phone or your wearable device if you have like a iWatch or Apple Watch or whatever it's called, if you have a Garmin or any of those types of wearable devices, and look at your average step count for the last 2 weeks or so, right? Or last month. That's probably a safer bet. That number can now become your baseline of or that number in itself is not a goal to reach necessarily. A lot of times you'll hear folks talk about 10,000 steps, 20,000 steps. That itself is not the goal. The goal is to increase your daily activity to keep your body moving throughout the day and not just when you're exercising, for example. Okay. So that number should be seen as a proxy for your daily activity. So let's say, for example, you're starting at 5,000 steps a day on average. Great. Now you know that you can increase that a little bit. Right. So that's one of the things that I mean when I say that, you want to see where you're at because you can't decide where you're going in a reasonable way without looking at that. And this is where a lot of people get into situations with cleanses, detoxes, eating clean, P90X, 75 hard, all of those sorts of things, is because they go from 0 to 100. They don't take stock of where they're already at, and then they go to some other extreme. And what happens when you do an extreme like that is that that's not something that you can sustain for a long time, that you can sustain for your life. So it becomes a situation where you're doing something that's damn near impossible, you fail at it, then you feel the failure and you go right back to the other habits that you've had that kind of put you in a position that you don't want to be in. And now you're spinning your wheels. Now you're spinning your wheels. Okay. So looking at your baseline, regular day to day activity, that's number one. Number two, you want to observe how you're eating, right? You want to observe your food choices. You want to observe your volume of food, your portion sizes. You want to observe how you feel after you eat. Are you still hungry? Are you super full? Are you just full enough? Right? That is good data. That is good information to have as you are moving forward on your health journey. This is giving you really good data points for creating a diet that is, more health promoting, may, help you gain muscle, lose fat, et cetera, right? This is information that we're going to need as we move forward into our next step. The information you're getting from this is what types of food do you like? When do you like to eat? How much do you like to eat? What makes you feel full? What makes you feel too full? What makes you feel, not full enough? Right? How are you digesting that food? Right? Really think about how you feel, when you're eating. Okay. So the second step is to decide your mild deficit. There's a reason why I said it like that. You want to decide your mild deficit, right? There are two very important words here, three very important words here. Decide. It's you that's deciding this. Don't find yourself on some 12, 100 calorie diet that is way too extreme for anyone above the age of like 8. Okay. Even then, it's just really, really extreme. Unless if you are a very small person, you have very, your muscle mass is not really perhaps where it should be. This is something that your metabolism might be really slow or low, and you might just require less calories than someone else. And then in order to get a deficit, to lose weight, to lose fat, for example, okay, then you might need to be that low. But I'm not recommending anyone start there, right? Especially after the see where you're at section. If you notice that your average, amount of food is above that, fine. That's totally fine. That's just where you're at. You're just trying to get a little bit lower than that. The second important word there is mild. Like I just said, you want to get a little bit below what your current diet and lifestyle is and what your maintenance is. Okay. And deficit. A lot of people don't like the word calories. It's just a word. It just means the amount of energy that you're taking in. Okay. So You want to make sure that you're eating less calories than you normally do, right? Um, Actually, at first, right? So the very first week when I am meeting with clients, the very first week, probably the very first 2 weeks, that is not the main concern. You just want to standardize your intake. By that, I mean you want to get a good handle of eating healthy foods, possibly even in a surplus. But the more important thing at that stage is to just make sure that you're putting in wholesome foods into your diet and getting used to that, right? The first step might actually be to increase your activity. Right? That's always a great place to land, especially if you are someone who is eating at a surplus or at maintenance. So, just increasing your daily activity and lifting weights can be enough to put you in a slight deficit for the first phase of your plan, right? So, what can that look like? That can look like a macro calculation, right? That's what a lot of people do. You can, there are very elaborate methods of doing this. One very simple method, if you're the type of person that, you know, feel some perceived safety, I guess, with numbers and kind of knowing that, oh, okay, this is something that makes sense to me, and then let's just calculate it from there. I'll talk more about that in another video because calories and calorie counting is a whole other subject. But if that's you and if that's somewhere that you want to start, absolutely fine, right? A very quick equation is to take your body weight, right, times 15, and that's your maintenance, right? And then if you want to go a little bit below that, then you can start from there. Or you can just decide on health promoting wholesome foods, right? They can be whole foods if you'd like, making sure that every plate has protein, has vegetables, has good carbohydrates and good fat, right? Having a wholesome, well-rounded meal and meal plan. That's a lot of what I talk about on this channel. So you can check out some of those videos if you want more information on that. But that could be a way already. Normally, when people just start honing in on, okay, let's perhaps reduce some junk, or let's, drink some water with every meal and make sure that every meal is a wholesome, plant-based, plant-forward meal, that normally reduces a lot of caloric intake and kind of standardizes where you're at. You usually tend to kind of get the ball rolling with just that. Now, for people who are on, a little bit more advanced, then it becomes, a situation where you may want to be more strategic, especially if you're hitting a wall. But I'm just talking about kickstarting your health journey. Okay. Now, I've talked about a little bit about why cleanses and eating clean and all of that doesn't work, right? There's this rebound effect. I've talked about what you should do to get started on a kickstart, right? You're looking at where you're at, you're deciding your deficit, your mild deficit, and you're increasing your low intensity activity, right? Low intensity activity, by that I mean walking, slow jogging, right? Nothing that's too intense, right? Again, we're not talking about P90X. We're not talking about 75 hard and doing all of this really strenuous activity that you haven't been doing before. Whatever you've been doing before, you can continue that. If you haven't been doing anything before, you want to start with low intensity activity, perhaps swimming a couple laps, right? Long walks or even short walks, right? If you are very sedentary, you might want to start off with 15 or 20, 30-minute walks, right? So low intensity activity, right? You don't want to blow your sockets, okay? And then you want to start lifting weights. This might be the tail end of that beginning of the journey, right? I always promote everyone start lifting weights immediately right now, like hit pause, grab something, lift it up, put it down, right? So I am very pro lifting weights, as you can tell. But, but you want to do this very gradually. Don't start off your weight loss journey and pick up 100-pound dumbbells. It doesn't make sense. Again, you want to increase your low intensity activity and low volume as well, right? I think a lot of people go all out and try to exercise for 2 hours a day, every single day. Again, this is this all or nothing kind of cleanses, detoxes mentality. There's no need for that. There is absolutely no need for that. You can do, if you are someone who wants to do activity every single day, do your daily walks. If you want to start lifting weights every day, fine, make that a 15-minute session max without the highest intensity, not a million reps. Do something very slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the race. Okay, so I've talked a lot about how to start a health journey. Here's the thing, this is not new or groundbreaking information, right? A lot of this is stuff that you already know, but you either haven't done it yet or you've tried other things. You've tried perhaps some of the methods that I already talked about, and you lost confidence because they didn't work, right? Or you didn't have accountability, and you may be someone who needs that. Well, it's not you. It's not your motivation. It's not your dedication. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You need a tailored plan and an accountability cheerleader. And that's me. That's me, right? I am that cheerleader for you. I am that person who can create a plan for you. Okay. I want to talk about my Healthy Habits Transformation Challenge. It's a 4-week challenge, right? To just get your health plan kickstarted, right? This is for women who are new to fitness, who are looking to restart their healthy habits, to restart their health journey, to get back on track. Although that phrase on track, I'm not quite sure how I feel about that, but to get back into a healthy habit so that you can transform yourself holistically from inside out and continue on to your journey. So if that's something that sounds good to you, I want you to click the link below to sign up for my 4-week Healthy Habits Transformation Challenge. Let's kickstart your transformation now. All of the things that I talked about today, looking where you're at, deciding your deficit, increasing your low intensity activity, and lifting weights, that's something that we can do together. You can do that on your own, and you may find that you stop there, right? You may actually, most people do need someone with them, a buddy, to help them along with that journey. So I am really encouraging you to click that link below and get started on your health plan with me. Right? We can get this done. We can get this done. All right. Well, I hope you're having a great day, great morning, and I'll see you soon. Bye.